guys see this thing right here, right? This zappy boy will kill you. You can see we got gloves on. It will kill you. All right, guys, disorganization alert coming right up. So in this video, we're going to go through the process of rebuilding this customer's Toyota Prius battery. This is a first-gen Prius. The Prius we're working on is the very first Prius to ever come out. So it's a 2002 model, and eventually, you know, Toyotas are very reliable, but eventually it's going to happen. These batteries wear out, and if you go to the dealer, they can only quote you the whole battery if a cell is bad, and that can cost thousands of dollars. So there's a lot of skepticism online about, you know, replacing just a few cells or a cell block, you know, and we'll get into some of that stuff a little bit. But I just kind of wanted to show you what I dealt with doing this Prius hybrid battery rebuild. And, you know, this isn't something that if you don't know what you're doing, you really should not mess with it, because you're talking about a lot of amps, a lot of volts. This battery could kill you. So that being said, there's a lot of equipment that you need to replace cells and have it be in sync. And what I mean by that is all of these cells have to be 0.03 volts within spec of each other. This particular one had 38 cells, I believe, individual battery packs that were connected by a bus bar. And so what I ended up doing is going and getting a little balance charger. It was very inexpensive. That being said, this process took a really long time with this tiny balance charger. We ran into a few hiccups, you know, going through the whole rebuild, everything like that. And we're going to get into that in this video, but I just don't want you to get into this and think that it's going to be a complete step-by-step guide. You're going to learn something, but again, if you don't know what you're doing, don't mess with these things because they're very dangerous. Let's get into the video.
I cannot really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you.
Wanted to make a little update for you guys on this Prius project. You can see we got all of the voltages written down on this side, number of blocks and individual cells on this side. Now, I'm not going to do a step-by-step on how to repair your Prius battery, because if you don't know what the hell you're doing, you should probably stay away from it. We got the bus bars disconnected, so this one is relatively safe. It looks like someone was in here before. Says 9 of 19, and I've never seen one. Granted, I haven't dealt with a lot of these, but I've never seen one that the bus bars seem to be glued on. So anyway, we got 2 new cell blocks here. Here is all the cells in order that we had to take off to get at the one we need to replace. And yeah, we'll keep this going. All right, guys, so just to show you, this is what it looks like with the hybrid battery out of the car. Yeah, pretty stripped down. I got most of the stuff up on top here, and then we got the back of the seat over there. Yeah, we're not in our shop, we're in my old man's garage. He was nice enough to let me be in here even though we're not done yet, because I had other cars to work on this week. Couldn't afford to have this taking up all my space. So this is our hybrid battery, and I'm just going to show you a couple things. And unfortunately right now it's like watching paint dry, but this is where our bad cell was, right? And on the scan tool it's going to show you a cell block, which is 2 cells paired together by this bus bar. You can see these right there. I think this was a remanufactured battery, because none of the ones I ever saw at Toyota had all this glue attaching everything, right? So we got it disassembled, and this is our bad cell right here. So I'm going to see if I can get this one-handed here, show you with the multimeter. It's going to be hard to see, bear with me. 4 point, get there, touch. Let's see if you can see on there, get a good connection here. This one was at about 4.5 volts. So what we are doing now is these are my 2 new ones, and like I said, all of these battery cells have to be close together. So I put an N on them. I have all these numbered so I know where they go back together. But once you get them disconnected from the pack, this is kind of like watching paint dry. So these were at 7.4 and 7.5 volts. So I have my little balance charger here, and you can see we're at 6.99. So I'm taking these cells down to about 6 volts. Then we're going to charge them up, and we're going to see how close we can get them to the rest of the battery pack, and then put this thing back together. Damn, guys, I want that thing. Give me your mini truck. to start the batteries. All these are going to the junker. So like I said, guys, we're out here pulling batteries out of a lot of these cars before they go to the crusher. I'm not exactly sure what they're worth right now, but usually somewhere between 15 and 25 bucks a piece. So we got 10 or 11 here. Start loading these up. Prius batteries, car batteries, can't never have enough batteries. All right, guys, so we are almost wrapped up getting this Prius battery back together. In no way was this video supposed to be a step-by-step guide on how to do this. There's plenty of videos on YouTube of that. But this is a lot like watching paint dry. So right now you can see we got the balance charger hooked up, just checking a few of these cells. Normally, if you go to a dealer, anything like that, they're gonna replace this entire battery and it can be thousands of dollars just for the parts. I was able to get cells and determine which ones were bad, and then you just have to balance charge, discharge, and make sure all the voltages are the same. So yeah, very boring process, but we're getting somewhere. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is get this thing all back together, put the bus bars back on, get the cover on, the end caps, then we'll get it back in the car. All right, so I understand on this one, my fat head's kind of in the way, but look at the amount of corrosion on that copper lug. There were about 50,000 million of these, you know, roughly. All right, guys, so we are back at the Prius again. We previously had it all reassembled on the road, and I'll bring you over here really quick. As you can see, we now got the bus bars apart, batteries back apart, and I'm gonna flip you around and show you what we're dealing with. So we took it for a drive, and it seemed to drive a considerable amount better, and then we had a check engine light come back on and the red triangle of death. So what I assume is that this battery was previously a remanufactured battery. I showed you the stamping in there. See all this glue on here? It made these bus bars kind of a challenge to get apart, but you can see all the corrosion that is on these things. And you look over here, we had a code for voltage wire snapped. Literally, it says voltage wire snapped. And upon closer inspection of this bus bar, this end, which sits in here, you can see was completely busted off. So what I'm assuming happened is when we were taking these bus bars off, this was probably already warped, just had been fatigued, and it broke the rest of the way. So we're gonna try to solder this back together and clean up all of these bus bars, and I'll keep you updated on how it goes. So about 2 hours later, getting the glue out of this bus bar, we took these little copper buttons, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, took them all out. Look at how gross that got. Soaked everything in vinegar. Then took the drill, and you can see all the glue residue on my knife. Got them soaking in another tub of vinegar there. This is fun. Well, guys, I apologize that this video was kind of scattered. I ended up taking the car apart twice, obviously, but as you can see, no more triangle of death. We're driving her, she's good. We got the headlights done, so this car can go back to the customer.